All right. Thanks for being here tonight. We got a good one. Uh, one we talked about before, but it's a lot of new clients, so a lot of people need to hear it. So I'm going to mute everybody. And Coach Walker is leading tonight. But first things first, we gotta take the flex picture. So, Kat, you ready? Everybody
Roll
got
up your sleeves.
Yeah, I got you. Hang on.
All right,
Hey.
ready.
Ain't no way.
Ready?
All right, you guys ready? 3,
George.
2,
Trying to get them both
1.
in.
Done. You're good. I got it.
Cool. All right, y'all. Walker, after I mute everybody, unmute yourself and let's get to it.
All right. All righty. Give me just a second here to share my screen. All righty, guys. Well, for those of you that don't know me, I know we got a lot of new faces in here tonight. Coach Walker, been with Body Ops for like 2.5-ish years. So been here quite a while. If you're on here, you'll see me plenty. But tonight, what we're gonna do is we're gonna break down some food prep. And I know it's a big thing that, I mean, there's not a person that's gonna be on this call that's not doing some type of it or that shouldn't be doing some type of it. And I think hopefully through this call, you guys are able to understand that it's a lot more than just like bulk cooking on a Sunday for 7 hours and that's your only way to like meal prep, right? And it's got to go in a bunch of containers and the stereotypical way of doing things, and that it just has to be like chicken and rice or whatever it is. So we're gonna break a little stigmas, hopefully give you some ideas on what you can be doing and ways that you can improve, and also showing how it can be applied to a variety of different lifestyles, such as, you know, those of you that travel or whatnot. So let's get rolling. So first of all, right, meal prep, it's really it's meant to be a time saver. It's meant to be convenient, and ultimately help you avoid making bad choices. It also saves money and a multitude of other things, right? But at the bulk of it, you can always count on it being those three things. Like if you have food prepped and in the fridge, it's pretty hard to be like, screw it, let's go like get pizza or let's like go out to eat, right? So by having something prepared and having a plan for what you're doing, you're typically going to make a better choice. And as cliche as this may sound, or as open-ended as it may sound, truthfully, like the best style or the best type or way to meal prep is what's going to work best for you. And with that question, I mean, I'm going to go ahead and assume everybody on here is meal prepping of some way, shape, or form. If you're not, your coach will probably be on you because it'll catch up to you eventually. But what I want to ask, and you guys can feel free to unmute yourself at any point. This isn't meant to be a death by PowerPoint, but what are your guys's, like, what's your go-to way of prepping for the week? What are the different methods or avenues you guys go about prepping for your meals, whether it's by the week, by the month, by the day, whatever? What do you guys do?
I make a menu with my husband on Sundays. And so we eat whatever dinner, and then we have that for lunch. So then we
Awesome.
come home, we prep dinner, and then we make enough so that we can take it to lunch. His favorite is bang bang shrimp. So I make 5 of those at a time. Super easy.
I mean,
but I was doing chicken all the time, but that got boring.
yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I'm a big Panda Express fan, so you might have to share the recipe, you know, with your coach, and they can work it on down the ladder. But what else you guys got? What other ways do you guys prep? What do you guys do?
Bulk protein cooking.
Bulk protein cooking?
So all the proteins are cooked, so it's easier to pair sides and all that other shit with the protein instead of having to cook meats and all that throughout the week.
Yeah, and you're gonna see that's how I do it. That's, I think, like the most effective way, especially when you're looking at your macros, just because protein's so damn essential and not very many people are getting enough of it, and it's pretty hard to get too much of it, you know.
Yeah, we call that meat prep over here.
Yep, meat prep. you're gonna see it on here. So any others? How else you guys go about it? How about, hey, okay, let me ask this. Anybody in here travel for work very often?
Yep,
Or
I do.
nights? Was that Tim?
Yep.
What do you do typically?
Just all depends. I was just on a 36-day trip in Monterey for Pebble Beach.
Damn, okay.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I travel a lot.
When you go I mean, I don't know who your coach is, but I'm sure you guys have a plan, but is it typically like on a longer trip like that, are you getting like a per diem and you're mostly eating out and just having to track that way, or do you get to bring things back to like a hotel room or whatnot?
Nope, I got to eat out every night.
Okay. Yeah. That adds its own challenges, huh?
Yes, it does.
It
Trust me.
does.
George and I go over it every time.
It's all right. Yeah, I've been there. I've had calls with a handful of people that, I mean, pretty much anytime they go on a vacation or travel, we'll usually jump on a call and just make sure there's a little time to make sure that they feel prepared and don't, like, for lack of a better word, shit the bed when they get there and just say screw it and throw caution to the wind. So yeah, some of the things I'm gonna go over tonight is I'm gonna go over, so for instance, those that can cook and are cooking at home, but also some options and ways that prep can still be done when you don't cook or when you're not cooking from home. And I'll even share some instances and stories and stuff too. These are just some of them that we're gonna go over. We already hit some of them. Meat prep, single meal only, which I'll cover here in a little bit, and then even someone, I think it was Michelle, said they kind of every Sunday like do a planner, right? Whether that be daily, weekly, monthly. Aisha's done a video on that, I believe, Matt's wife. And then for those that don't cook, won't cook, aren't cooking, or can't cook, there's other options too that we're going to talk about, like food service and prepackaged things, and this little homework piece that may just fit into what you were talking about, Tim. So there's a lot of different types, and this is by no means the only ways, but this is just some of the things that I think can be super helpful, and it's going to fit into lifestyles a little bit too. So speaking of lifestyles, all right, so you guys can just raise your hand using the little whatever it is, emoji or whatnot, or you can simply speak out and say it's you, but raise a hand or let me know if you travel for work. I know we got Tim. Anybody else have to do any traveling for work? Okay, how about anybody work night shifts? Nobody on here? Dang. Okay, that's good though. I mean, we'll take that. Unless I'm missing somebody, then they got to speak out. How about anybody with families at home, bigger families, even a couple kids at home that you have to cook around and eat around? Oh, there comes a bunch of hands. All right, yeah, I'm right there with you. I got a 2.5-year-old. So obviously that oftentimes can throw a wrench in the way that we try and prep or the things that we have to cook, right? How many of you like to be social, go out, hang out with friends, go out on the weekends, go to restaurants, anything like that? Anybody? Or you just all like being alone? All right, there's some hands. There we go. I'm a loner, so I can't raise my hand too much with that one. But
Hermits unite.
What's that?
Hermits unite.
See, right there. All right, one last one too. What about vacations? How many of you guys are going on, even if it's one vacation a year, one trip, one or two?
I'm going on a cruise in 2 weeks.
See? All right. So whoever just said that, Michelle, is that you?
Yep.
All right. So whoever your coach is, better make sure you got a plan for a cruise, because I've been on one and it can be tough. But
I'm going to Nevada next week.
hey, see? I'm gonna say, yeah. So vacations are another big one, right? And lifestyles, schedules, they play just as much a role in the way that you should meal prep, and meal prepping being more than just cooking food, the way that we prep for our meals or our food consumption. Our lifestyles play a big role in that too, in the choice that we make. So we're gonna keep diving in, but first one is I'm gonna go over is essentially all those methods I'm talking about where we're cooking from home, right? And first piece of advice I can give to anybody is like the cliche KISS, like keep it simple, stupid. Okay, so first things first, the easiest way to track food, log food without having to like change a bunch of things in MyFitnessPal is to work off of single ingredient foods. So by that, I mean, if the food is the only ingredient, rice is only rice, right? Chicken is only chicken, like a banana is only a banana, right? Steak is only steak, like it is its own ingredient. If you are eating a combination of single ingredient foods, like you're having steak and a baked potato and broccoli, right? That's very easy to log. It's very easy to keep up with. You don't have to punch a lot of numbers or spend a lot of time doing it, right? That is probably the first thing that you should be doing if you're just trying to get started and like prepping meals and preparing for yourself, and trying to hit certain goals and macros. The second one is, especially if it's new, is to avoid all the fancy stuff. Like,
Are you sharing your screen?
yeah, can you
Are you
not see
going through
it?
the slide right now? Because I can't see it. Can anybody else see that?
I can.
I can see it.
Everybody
Okay,
else can
just
see it.
you, Matt.
Oh, my bad. Okay, I'm like, damn, he's going
I
through
got
this-
it.
Okay.
Okay,
All
cool. I must be on the wrong.
All right, sweet.
No, just come
He's
to
not
me.
even watching the PowerPoint, guys. He doesn't even care. With that is avoid, like, Instagram is a great resource for like a lot of cool recipes where it's comfort foods and stuff like that that are kind of transformed into high protein recipes. However, if you try and make your entire week, or however you're planning to prepare your month, your week, your day by day, doing a bunch of really fancy recipes that require a bunch of ingredients and a lot of time cooking, you will get burnt out on that so quick. So it's not to say that you shouldn't try those things and have fun with those things, but like my biggest piece of advice is pick 2 or 3 really easy things to do. Like I was saying, those single ingredient foods, you're going to do some chicken one night and, you know, whatever else, some pork tenderloin with some veggies. And then sure, one of the nights of the week, you and your spouse or whatever, you guys get creative and you make something really fancy, and you make plenty of it, right? So that you can try it a few more times. But if you spend every day trying to follow a bunch of recipes, you will spend all your time making food and following recipes, right? Because they're time consuming. So that's first biggest 2 pieces of advice I can give towards preparation. Second is this kind of dives into just a method of prep, right? And we talk about, it could be daily prep, which I'll explain here in a little bit, but daily prep is essentially, maybe it was Michelle that said at night they'll make extra, right? So that they can take that for lunch the next day. I think, Matt, you do that, don't you? Typically? Yeah, so a really easy thing to do is, I mean, you already have it logged in MyFitnessPal, right? You already ate your dinner and you already logged it. If you just make a little bit more, enough to take for lunch, now you don't even have to like look up everything. You literally just copy that meal over to the next day. Like that takes 2 seconds. Then you can't complain about not having enough time to log your food or it becoming a burden. So big one is daily prep. So if you really like your meals fresh, you don't like leftovers, that's probably where I would start. Like going with that daily prep and making just enough for lunch the next day. And then after that, you get a new meal every single night, right? With that, planning your meals in advance. So coaches, I'll put you guys on blast, and we'll see if any of your clients watch any of the homework. Who's seen homework number 7? You guys remember what it's about? Let's see, anybody. Coaches, you can even jump in. Oh,
I want to hear the client's answer.
if I got a couple with your hands up, you can unmute yourself if you actually are, or if your hand's just still up from earlier, then ignore it. But anybody know homework number 7? Going once, going twice. All right, coaches. If you've been cheating, coaches, and pulling it up and during this time, I'm upset, but all right. Kat, you know? I know you're eating, so I just caught you with a mouthful of food. We'll go to George first. George, you know?
Proper preparation.
Yeah, so if you guys haven't, like if you feel like you really struggle planning your food or preparing your food or having a plan for what you're doing with your food, I would highly advise watching homework number 7. Your coaches have it, all of them have it. They can send it to you if you want to know. But Matt's wife, Aisha, did a training similar to what we're doing now, where she talked about basically the way that she handles their meals and their food at home. And basically, Matt, correct me if I'm wrong, but she has a huge calendar like this, where she will literally put what they're eating for that night, for the week, and she'll make it a month in advance. So then at the beginning of the week, kind of like Michelle was talking about, they know exactly what they need to go get, exactly what they need to go buy. And then at the same time, Matt can literally go look at this and be like, okay, I know we're having, you know, whatever, beef and broccoli tonight. Like that's probably pretty low calorie. I can have a little bit more earlier in the day. Whatever. It's a really, it may seem a bit excessive to some, but imagine if you knew everything you were going to eat for a month, it becomes pretty damn easy to plan. I'm not someone that does a month, but I'll typically do about a week.
Yeah,
so-
and kind of the
Go
thing
ahead.
about, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Oh, you're good.
The thing about this is like what he was talking about, like being excessive, and it looks like a lot, but like if you guys think about it, you're gonna stick within probably like 7 to 10 meals like all the time, right? And what's nice is when you make this and you already did a month, is you just go back and look at the month before and you're like, well, I like that one, I like that one. You just put them in the rotation again, right? Every once in a while, she'll throw like a new one in there. She wants to try something. But for the most part, it's plug and play, right? She builds it out. She's like, cool, now I know, I understand exactly like what I need for groceries for the entire month, right? Not just a day or a week or something like that. She can go bulk that stuff, get it, have it ready, right? And it's not perfect. Like sometimes, oh, we ran out of buns or we ran out of something, and she'll have to go make a little store run or something. But again, it just solves that age-old question, what's for dinner, right? And when we don't know what's for dinner, what for dinner typically becomes like fucking Popeyes or fucking McDonald's or some bullshit, right? So it's like just having this in play, even if it's not perfect, you don't follow it to a T. It's just like we tell you guys with your MyFitnessPal, like plan tomorrow, today, right? I don't know about you guys. I already got my stuff ready to go for tomorrow. It's already in my MyFitnessPal, right? And let's say something pops up. Well, I just got to switch a few things around now instead of just trying to like do everything on the go. So this is the exact same concept, just on a monthly, kind of on a monthly frame.
Yeah, it's like more of a macro view of things. And even to build off that, realistically, think about how much time if you don't know what you're eating, think about how much time you spend trying to decide what the hell you're going to eat. Like if this takes you an hour, even if it took you an hour to plan out, and which there's probably no way it even takes you that, but if it took you an hour to plan out what you were going to eat essentially for the month, and she has cheats on here, she has leftovers, so they know what days they're doing what. But even if that took you an hour, I guarantee in a month, you would spend more than an hour trying to plan what you're gonna, even just have an idea of what you're gonna eat. Right. So again, it's all coming back to like, sure, it seems like a lot of work, but truthfully, it should save you a lot of time. That's what preparation does. Right. It's front load work so that it makes the back end easier. And like I was saying, meal prep, it doesn't have to be like slaving away and cooking meals every day, all Sunday, just so that you can eat the same 3 meals every single day for 7 days. Like you don't need to make 21 of the same meals, right? You can do this daily prep where you're making extra that night, you eat it for lunch the next day. It can be a lot of what I'll do. So I do the meat prep, which we're going to talk about next, but what I'll also do is I will typically break my meal prep into like 2 days out of the week. So yeah, I'll usually do Sunday because that's a pretty chill day for us. We're at home, but then also my lightest day of the week where I don't have as much going on is Thursday. So then Thursday, I'm prepping what I'm going to eat over the weekend, unless I know we're like going out for one meal or something, but usually most of that's planned. So I will know, and then I'm not left with the weekend of like, I just made enough through Monday through Friday. Now over the weekend, I'm going to go eat like shit because we see that too, right? Or all of a sudden the weekend becomes the time that we're going to go eat out all the time or every meal. Even if we try and make healthy choices, we know that's harder to log. It's not as accurate. It's not usually super conducive of our goals, depending on your seriousness, you know? So yeah, that's one way, one method. And one thing I can't stress enough is if you're trying to lose a lot of weight and you're serious about it, like you can't eyeball shit. Like you can't like, oh, this is about 4 ounces of meat. Like this is about a cup of rice. Like you will walk yourself down so quickly to where you're thinking like, you're thinking a pile of rice this big is a cup. Because it fits what you're wanting. So you've got to hold true to yourself, use your food scales, use your measuring cups, like use your resources. If you're serious about it, you'll make the time to do that little bit. And again, it comes back to like how bad you want to lose weight, how bad you want to see your goals change. If you're okay with it being a lot slower, all right, sure. Maybe you can get away with eyeballing it and you have to make those adjustments on your own, but it takes more work on both ends from your coach and yourself. So another method of meal prep is, it's been talked about a little bit on here. So for those of you that don't know, meat prep, and essentially what that is, it's what I do most of the time. It is where you're cooking and covering all your proteins for the week, right? I mean, I assume most of you can agree, but protein's probably the hardest macronutrient to hit for almost everybody in here. Even us that don't have a problem hitting protein, don't act like we don't love freaking carbs and fats. It's just we've gotten used to hitting our protein, right? And so a big part of that is making sure your proteins are prepared. Carbs and fats are easy to find, and they're readily available everywhere. Every packaged good you see at a grocery store that's not on the edges of the aisle is a carb or a fat, pretty much. Like they're easy to find. Every snack you grab in a grocery store, typically a carb and a fat, right? Unless it's beef jerky. So it's easy to find carbs and fats. It's not as easy to get readily available proteins and proteins that are cost effective. Like if you're buying beef jerky every day, you're spending $8 on a little bag for 30 grams of protein, so they're the most important macronutrient. Your coaches have explained that to you. It's a big part of your success and your body composition. And so you've got to make sure you're getting it in. So what I like to do is I'll utilize different methods of cooking. And if you do this, you can literally be done prepping, 2 or 3 different meats in bulk. So I'm doing a couple pounds of each meat, and I can do it all in an hour because I throw something in the crock. I get something started on the grill, walk in, throw in something else like a roast on a crock pot, and then I got, chicken in the oven or whatever it is. Like you start utilizing different methods of cooking your food and your meats, you can have multiple things going at once, and all of your meat or all of your food is cooked in hour and a half.
Hey,
Right?
Walker,
What's up?
the other thing with that, right? Especially if you slow cooking your food, you could be doing something completely different at the same time while cooking. You could be doing, I hate to say it, you could be doing burpees. You could be doing you could be walking. You could be getting your clothes out for the next day. You could be laying out your supplements. You could be doing anything, right? Most people, when you meal prep and the food's cooking, you go sit down and watch TV. Nah, go find something to do along with it.
Yeah. Go get some steps.
Shelby has a question. Walker.
Oh, what's up, Shelby? I think that might be from earlier. I'm not going to lie.
I think my hand up is still up from earlier.
Okay. Yeah. I was going to say, I saw it there for a while. So okay. No worries.
Matt's hand
not just sticking up there.
Whose hand?
Matt's was right before.
No, yeah, I was just gonna let you know that they had their hand up.
Oh, okay. Yeah. If you guys actually do throw your hand up and I don't get to you within like a minute, just unmute yourself and plug in. Just because, I only see like 6 of you on my screen. So, another method of meal prep. Okay, still regarding cooking from home is what I like to call single meal. So again, I'm going to ask you guys a question, but whether it was before you started Body Apps or still currently, what meal do you struggle with most? And I don't just mean like making the meal. I mean, like, I know people that like, oh man, I never make time for breakfast, or like I always skip breakfast, or man, dinners are hard because my kids have practice, whatever. What meal, you guys can type it out. You guys can just butt in, but what meal do you struggle with most?
Lunch.
And why? Sorry, go back.
Breakfast. I don't really typically eat it because I go straight to work and I'm too busy in the morning and I forget about it.
So we hear that one a lot. Who else said lunch?
I did, Tim.
And why is that, Tim?
Busy.
Yeah, right?
Always.
Yeah, that's probably the one I feel. I mean, I don't feel like dinner's usually a huge issue. Every now and then it is with families with kids, like depending on their age. But breakfast is a big one because people don't want to wake up in enough time to get themselves breakfast. And so then if they can grab something on the go, they'll do it, but otherwise they're not. And then with lunch, anybody that goes into their office, if they don't take food with them into the office, then what? Or if you work a really busy job and you don't get more than 15 minutes away for yourself, right? It becomes a struggle. Anybody else? Where you guys struggle? Oh, by the way, Jason, I just saw you got on. Jason Wilkins. Sorry. Just as I'm scrolling through here. Cool. Well, with that, I mean, the idea of like single meal prep is to tackle your biggest problem area. So if you just said, you know, like breakfast is the time of day that I never end up getting that meal in, and it's always causing me to be under on my calories, then like my biggest suggestion to you, whether your coach is saying this or not, is that's probably the one meal you need to make sure you meal prep then. Like you should be taking the time to make sure that that gets prepped so that that's no longer an excuse, right? Like cook your breakfast while you're cooking the rest of other things. Or honestly, breakfast is one that you can get away with a lot with not even having to eat or cook something. You have a lot of foods that are pretty readily available. So and even with lunch, right? If it's more that you struggle with time to go like sit down and eat, right? Then my suggestion would be, okay, we get something prepackaged that may not be like a sit down and I'm eating a full meal, but I have a couple little snacks that I can just like rip open and eat while I'm driving, while I'm talking, while I'm doing whatever, so that I'm still getting those calories in, especially if you're struggling with the calories again. Or for lunch, like I have a handful of clients, I don't think Martin's on here, but for instance, that like they were notorious for when they joined, lunch was always when they went out to eat. Like they cooked breakfast at home, they cooked dinner at home, but lunch was always like, oh, I just never take anything with me because I'm not home. And so then as a result, either they didn't eat and they were way under on calories for the day or trying to make it up with dinner, or they would go out to eat and then they ended up eating shit, right? And so with this single meal prep, this is one where again, it really, you only have to make one thing. Like you can make different breakfasts, or if you're eating different breakfasts and dinners every day, you can probably get away with eating pretty much the same damn thing for that one lunch for like 7 days, and then you change it up, or those 5 days that you go to work. But just make one thing and make it 5 times so that that's not a barrier for you anymore. Or if you're not making it, go pick up, you know, those like 2-3 little snack foods. Maybe it's a protein shake and some almonds that you can like a pre-made protein shake and some almonds that you can slam while you're at work, and it's really quick. But now, you know, all 5 days of the week, like I'm punching that into my MyFitnessPal, it's in there, it's accounted for. Right. All right. So now we're going to touch base a little bit on some methods for those of you that can't, won't, or don't cook, because as coaches, I know we get a handful of them or have never cooked and don't feel comfortable with it, whatever the case may be, right? But we get it. Is it ideal? No. Does it add a little bit of a challenge? Yeah, but nothing we can't tackle. So the biggest thing I can't hone enough is that like I said earlier, preparation or meal prepping isn't just cooking your food. Like it's having a plan. That's all it is. It's preparing for what you're going to eat or what your meal is going to be. It doesn't mean that you have to cook it or cook in bulk, right? So even if you're not making it, don't let not being able to cook keep you from losing weight or seeing your health change or getting in better shape, etc. Same could be said about working out or whatever it is, right? So couple options, right? If you have the money or you find yourself spending a lot of time eating out, there's a lot of like meal prep services that you don't have to even cook for yourself. You know, there's the HelloFreshes and stuff where, yeah, it's delivered to your door and you just follow a recipe. Sure, you can do that if you have the time, but if you don't, like there's no reason to not, and and you're spending a lot of time eating out anyways, there's no reason to not spend that money on something that is like locked in. It'll tell you your exact macros. A good one is Factor. I see it advertised all the time, but I know they literally list out the macros of the food. You can pick your diet plan. They give you a large variety of meals to pick through, and they average like $10 or $11 a meal. So is that more expensive than cooking at home? Absolutely. But if you're spending and you don't have to get 21 meals, you can get just your lunches or whatever. But if you're typically going out and eating anyways, I guarantee you're spending $10 or more. And this is going to be a hell of a lot healthier and way more on target for what you're trying to achieve. Right? You can still eat prepackaged food and make it healthy. Right? For example, so I used to travel for the last company I worked for a corporate wellness company, and I had to travel pretty much. I would be gone for 5 days, and then I would come home over the weekend, work from kind of home for about a week, and then I'd go out again and be gone for like 3 or 4 days. And I would go to these little podunk towns in Montana that have like literally 500 or 600 people in them. And so when I was doing that, you can imagine the only thing that's open there is a bar, like other than a grocery store. So you're not hitting your goals if you're gonna go eat at a bar. It's all fried food. And so I would go to the grocery store, I would pick up hard-boiled eggs for the morning, and I'd pretty much have that, and sometimes pick up like a Fairlife protein shake, right? Then I was hitting 50, 60 grams of protein in the morning. I would pick up some prepackaged, like the actual cooked meat, like fajita chicken or steak, microwavable rice and veggies. Like I just made a meal that easy, right? So there's still options even when you travel. Is that the most exciting meal? No, but if it's not something that you have to do every single day, you can probably get by if it's going to help you stay on track and you end up coming back lighter while you're traveling. For those of you that are social, we had some of you raising your hand, or vacation, which is pretty much everybody's doing some type of something eventually. Have you guys ever gone on a trip, or have you done it at least since working with Body Apps, where you've gone on a trip, planned or not, whether it was work or not, and you came back lighter? And if I can't see your hands probably, so you just have to tell me. Is there anybody
Yep.
on here? Oh, who
Yep.
was it?
Tim, I did.
See?
Coach did.
See, George is doing good work over there.
Yes, he is.
Yeah, awesome.
Came back 4 pounds lighter.
What's that?
He came back 4 pounds lighter. He went
Exactly.
218, came back 214.
Talk to me just a little bit about what part of I know you guys talk pretty much every time you're traveling, but what's essentially the game plan for you when you got to be gone for 36 days and
Our
knowing
biggest-
you're going to eat out?
Well, my whole thing is to try to, of course, get as much protein in as I can. And I do my drinks or whatever, if it's Melsa milk, core milk or something, something like that. That's my breakfast, that with a Fit Crunch. I know I'm getting enough protein in right then, because my lunch, like I say, I might have lunch and I might not, but then I'm gonna have a great dinner.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna get that big steak or whatever, and we're gonna be good.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I miss no workouts.
See, solid. I mean, truthfully, it's making a plan, and that's what you have coaches for. I've had a handful where they've come back lighter, and a big part of it is literally just understanding a few key principles. Your coaches all have another homework called Vacation Survival, and it's a really good one, whether it's a vacation that you're taking or just a trip that you're going on, where I think it was Matt, but does a whole breakdown of essentially what are some of the easy ways that we can still travel or still go somewhere and still hit our goals. And some of the easy things are like, if again, this comes back to planning, but if you know kind of where your big meals are going to be for the day, like if it's for work and they're going to cater you lunch and it's not going to be very healthy, but you're kind of limited on your options and you're going to end up eating it, okay, great. Then I'm probably skipping a breakfast and planning on a really light dinner, right? So that again, I can balance those calories. So if you have a plan and you know where your food's going to be, if you're on vacation and you're at an all-inclusive resort and man, dinners, we're going to have a few drinks, I plan to eat really healthy, or I mean, like a really big meal, then you're probably sleeping in anyways. Go ahead and skip your breakfast, skip your hotel breakfast, when you guys go out for lunch and you're at the beach or whatever you're doing, like it's probably pretty easy to keep it light and again, save those calories for those big meals. So things like that. Matt, you got your hand up?
Yeah, so one thing too, like going back to what Walker was saying earlier about weighing, measuring your food and understanding, like not just taking a shot in the dark. Like the reason that this is actually good practice for when you go on vacation, when you're going to restaurants, like I'm not going to bring a scale with me. Like
Yeah.
what some of you might, I don't know, but like I'm not going to be that guy that fucking pulls out like a food scale.
Coaches, we've all had those people that do it. So don't be ashamed if you're one of those
Yeah,
people.
so I'm not. Yeah, so like if you do it, cool. I'm not that guy, but like one thing I really like pride myself in. It's funny, like I mess with my wife. I'm like, she's like, "How much is that?" And I'm like, "Oh, that's 5 ounces of chicken, and that's a half a cup of rice." And we'll like measure it out just to see. I'm literally always accurate, especially with the weight, within like 1 ounce, right? And that just takes a while to get to that point where you could just like. My military people, I fuck it, right? You could just be like, yeah, that's fucking 5 ounces. So, like, then you actually get to enjoy that, right? When you go to those dinners, when you do that, and you're like, cool, I know that, like, I probably didn't put this in perfectly, but I'm within probably a couple hundred calories because it's a skill set, right? And I preach this all the time. Like, this is literally a skill set, guys. Like, you got to get good at it. The more you do it, the better you get. And then it's like, it's almost like a pride thing, right? It's like, shit, I can look at food and tell you exactly like how much that shit weighs, how many cups that is. Like,
Yeah.
But that takes you actually doing it when you're at home, right? You're not going to be able to just go on vacation and be like, oh, I've been eye fucking it the whole program. I'm going to eye fuck it on vacation too. It ain't going to work like that. So, but yeah, this is going back to what Walker was talking about earlier.
Yeah. It's I'm a wrestler, so it's like, oh, and I think David, do you have your hand up because you were gonna throw something in here?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. What's up?
What my wife and I usually do is we'll pick a meal, a good meal with a steak or something. We'll just split the meal, every meal. So that way we're not eating as much and we're not spending as much. And like you said, we're picking the right meats, vegetables or whatever. And we're not trying to get the fried foods and whatever, but it's the taking the time to work together because we're doing this as a team and split the meals.
Yeah.
So you're not consuming as much. And most of our vacations, we spend a lot of time walking.
Yeah. Yep. And that's a big part of that vacation survival that Matt talks about too, is, obviously tonight's call is primarily about meal prepping, but as far as exercise goes, that's a big thing is like, I know as a coach myself, when someone tells me they're going on vacation, I usually ramp their step goal way the hell up. Cause like you're gonna be taking steps anyways. And a lot of them, might not have a gym or not planning on working out. So like, all right, well then expect to be hitting 15,000 steps a day and you're normally at 10, again, it's kind of balancing our calories being burned that we're missing out for on our workouts. So yeah. And David, I'm sure you guys still enjoy your vacations, huh?
Yeah, we do. We this next month we're going to a race. My brother races desert racing, and then from there we're going to go down to Mammoth Lakes for 4 nights to celebrate my 50th birthday. And we've already discussed what we're going to be doing, where we're going to be eating. That way we can kind of figure it out because we're going to be on the fly. We're not going to be able to do any kind of meal prepping while we're out. We will take some stuff with us that, I like to make jerky at home. So we have a meat shop here in town that does local meats, everything from the dairies, and I go get their food, I get their meats, and I come home and smoke them and make my own jerky, so I have something to chew on. But that's the way we do it. Yeah, that's sweet. I mean, truthfully, you should still be able to enjoy a vacation without coming back 10 pounds heavier. Like you have to have a little diligence, to do your due diligence, have a little bit of a plan, and not just totally like throw everything in the fucking bucket, So, couple more here, but with restaurants and stuff, like part of your homework too, if you know where you're going, it's not hard to find a restaurant's menu online. Like, and a lot of them, unless it's like a mom and pop shop, even have the calories of what their meal is like right next to it. May not have the macros, but it's gonna tell you like, hey, you go to Olive Garden, you get this chicken Alfredo, like shit's 1,300 calories, right? Like, all right, shit, I'm gonna split that or whatever.
depending on what you got in there. And then again, you can still be entering things ahead of time, like have an idea. And then if you get to the restaurant, you won't make a small change, get a different side, like it's easy to make that adjustment and not be way off. So one thing I want to do different this time, I'm not gonna like elaborate on these recipes, but these are just, this is like staple. Like I did one for like a breakfast, a lunch, and a dinner of what I do in my house often. I mean, my whole family eats it, including my 2.5-year-old daughter, so it can't be too shitty. Like it must taste all right. But like super simple stuff. And I put literally like if you made it to the T, I put all the macros in there and everything. So, and it's going to be cheaper. So I do like a high protein yogurt a lot of mornings because you don't have to cook it, and it's prepped the night before. All I do is I literally take frozen berries, put it into a jar or bowl. They are going to thaw overnight in the freezer or in the fridge. When they do that, all the juice goes everywhere. You add your Greek yogurt to it. I add a little bit of honey for a little extra sweetness. Mix that shit up. If you got room for some extra carbs, add some granola or nuts or whatever. But if you just did the Greek yogurt, the mixed berries, and the honey, you have a meal that's 290 calories, 37 grams of protein, 36 grams of carbs, and 0 fat. Like, those are pretty solid macros. Another one that we do, I literally ate it for lunch yesterday, is steak fajitas. We use deer a lot because I'm a hick from from Montana. But I did, so for instance, these steak fajitas, I literally looked up a sirloin steak, I did a flank steak. Sorry, I had screenshots, but I guess I didn't put them in here. So flank steak, 3 pounds of flank steak. Okay, 2 or 3 bell peppers, a large onion, couple packets of fajita seasoning, and then spice it up with a little extra stuff of your own. You do that exact to the T, and you put that recipe in MyFitnessPal without adding like any tortillas or any Greek yogurt to replace for your sour cream because it's higher protein, or any low fat cheeses, without adding anything like that. If you did 7, this would make 7 servings, and those 7 servings would break down to 375 calories, 43 grams of protein, 14 grams of carbs, and 15 fat. Like, that's pretty solid. And if you guys want any of this, like you can ask there, it'll be posted, or you can take a screenshot while we're skipping through it. But super easy to make. And all this stuff takes no time, and it's really simple ingredients and food. Okay, another one, I do stuffed chicken breasts all the time. You basically, and people love it, like they think it's fancy, but really all you do is you take a chicken breast and you cut down the center of it without cutting all the way through it. Make a big pocket in the chicken breast, and you're gonna mix some low-fat cream cheese, some spinach, and some Parmesan cheese and garlic salt. Mash it all together till it's all blended, and you're gonna stuff that inside the chicken breast. Cook it like normal. Freaking killer. And same thing, this one has even better macros. Like, again, you're probably gonna make a side with it, right? Some veggies, potatoes, rice, whatever, noodles, whatever it's gonna be. But if you just did that chicken, 2 pounds of it, it's going to make 7 servings. It's only 230 calories, 45 grams of protein, 3 carbs, 8 fat. Like, and it's cheap as hell. Like, these are just really easy options, right? That you guys can run to, and it should make your life a hell of a lot easier. And these aren't even like, when I say recipes, earlier I say don't follow a bunch of recipes. This stuff is so simple that like I wouldn't even consider it. You're putting 3 ingredients together and calling it a recipe. But look at those macros, right? So there's obviously a lot of resources for recipes and for ideas and stuff like that. A couple of guys on like YouTube and Instagram that I see a lot and are on my feed a lot that I'll follow some stuff from. Again, these are pretty complex recipes, but Remington James and Scott Bapty, they're both big ones. I know Matt knows the Remington James guy pretty well. Your coaches in your groups. I know my group. I know Eric talks about Kat's group all the time, posting a bunch of recipes and stuff, but utilize each other. You guys are looking up stuff, trying different things. If something's good, post that shit in there. Then obviously there's things like cookbooks and stuff like that, but there's a lot of resources. Use them to the best of your ability. Instagram's a big one. And the nice thing about an Instagram or a TikTok is you start looking at recipes a little bit in there, guess what your whole feed's full of? People making healthy recipes. So, with that, okay, that's kind of to conclude the meal prepping and different methods that we can go about it. But I wanted just to dive right into that. This is a little unorthodox for our book of the month, but Remington James, he actually does a cookbook. He literally made a cookbook. It's an uploadable PDF, and he if you buy the cookbook, anytime he updates his channel, his YouTube channel, those recipes go right into to the cookbook PDF. So like you're literally getting new recipes all the time. There's over 200 recipes in there. There's a ton of they're really creative. A lot of them are really creative, but he tries to basically flip like fun foods and make them really high protein that are going to fit your macros. And it even includes a lot of desserts, right? Guy's kind of a tool, so get past that. But a lot of it's pretty good, okay? And with his cookbook, every recipe has the exact macros. Like if you make it to the T, it'll tell you the exact calories, the exact macros, just like I had on the stuff earlier. So to conclude on that, I also want to touch on our client of the month here real quick, touch with him, and I saw he's on here, but it is Jason Wilkins. So Jason and I have been working together 21 weeks. He's down 35 pounds, and check that stuff out. He's just had his 50th birthday, a couple months ago, maybe? I'll let you chime in here in a second, but I mean, dude's almost got a full 6-pack at 50, like pretty cool. But I'll tell you on that, like he busts his ass and works super hard. Every time he sends me a picture or a video, his shirt is 2 shades darker because he just finished a workout and it's that sweaty. But he came into the program with a lot of pre-existing injuries like back problems and pretty much everything under the sun. But we've managed pretty much for the most part of the 21 weeks to go almost injury free. I mean, nothing significant, maybe like tweaked my back for a day or two, but who hasn't done that? But yeah, does exactly what he's told, hits his numbers. I've even got him on pretty low calories. He's right there with E. We're kind of finishing up his cut. He's down to 220 pounds, down from 258. So, and we're down to like 1,500 calories, but just for another week or two. He's hit his goal weight this week. So, and with that, he does all of this while still working a handful of overnights. So it's not overnights every single day of the week, but he'll, like this week, he had, I think, 3 overnight shifts, which sometimes is even harder when you have those flip shifts. But round of applause for Jason, as he's had a lot of success with the program and really pushed himself. So, all right, well, that concludes on my end.
Walker, real quick, Jason, I want to give you props too, bro, because if you've been working that many overnights and still getting in, like Matt just said, you're not making one fucking excuse. That's what I like to see. So good shit. Good job on you too, Walker.
Appreciate it. All right. Well, I know that ran a little bit later. We also started a little bit later than normal, but if you guys...
Jason's trying to talk.
Hey,
but
it's not just overnights. I work swing shift. My shifts change week to week.
That's what I mean. Yeah, I was trying to say like you work overnights and then the next week you're freaking day shift, so it's worse.
Yeah, second shift. I work all 3 shifts.
Yeah. No. So.
And my injuries are a little more than a back injury.
Yeah, I know.
I broke my back in 7 places. I have a metal rod for a femur. I have someone else's bones in my foot. My right arm got tore off. I don't brachial nerve bundle tear in my right arm, so I wasn't supposed to use it again. So
Jason Goggins, man, we're just
so what's your excuse, everybody else? What's your excuse? I'm just kidding. But...
Could you use it, like an updated picture or something?
You haven't given me one.
Oh, check your phone.
Oh, was it today?
Yeah, I just took one.
All right. Oh, well, come on. I can't make changes that quick. But yeah, he did hit his goal weight of 220. So
my goal weight was 225.
I know, but then I made you analyze your.
And now I got to go to 219 and low calories, 1550 for 6 weeks. Yeah, that's.
You're at 1550.
Yeah,
I'm at 15.
Oh, geez, here, you guys. Look at the difference now. Look at that. If you can see that.
Yeah.
Nice.
So even better.
You about to be the Walmart underwear guy.
Hey, I like those Hanes.
Why they gotta be Walmart, man?
Yeah, because I ain't good enough for anything else.
Worldwide.
He could be Abercrombie and Fitch, man.
Or JC.
I am old enough.
But in all seriousness, Jason, congrats, man. You've earned it.
Hey, I just follow what you tell me to do. That's it. And I
that's the key.
I give you everything I have in my workouts.
We got a few clients on here down 20+ pounds.
Hey. Who's there?
go.
Who's down 20 plus from when you originally started, even if you've had a hiccup? I know Chester's there.
Walker, I got two group clients that's down, one down 25 pounds in 5 weeks. That's Jonathan. Jacob,
Oh,
Jacob's down 70 pounds.
70 pounds, coach.
75 pounds in 6 months.
Congrats, man.
Yeah. So we got some people down there. But Jason, I'm right there with you. I'm at 1,500 calories and I'm okay with mine getting dropped a little more.
You know, I'm used to it now. I
Yeah.
eat chicken for breakfast, steak for lunch, and chicken for dinner,
Right.
or salmon. I've got about 4 pounds of salmon, 8 pounds of chicken, and 6 pounds of steak in the fridge right now.
Bro, I don't have any carbs until at night.
Yeah. Usually I'll eat a little bit of carbs before I work out, and then I'm getting ready to go eat some noodles right now.
What are your percentages set at?
40, 30, 30.
I got mine at 50, 25, 25.
Well, mine are probably closer to that.
Yeah.
I have trouble with my carbs. I kill my protein and I'm right there at fat, but carbs I'm always low. So I found these Momofuku noodles. They got like 11 grams of protein, 62 grams of carbs, and like 2 grams of fat or something.
Eat some carrots.
I'm not a carb person. I've always just been a meat.
Yeah, eat some carrots. I just saw a recipe which I'm trying to
But my old workouts, I was always sore and, you know, I was run down. Now that I started eating the carbs and the fats, I mean, I can work out every day as far as muscles, you know, I don't have that soreness anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the first thing I noticed. I'm like, hey, in these workouts, I must not be doing anything because I'm not sore. And then Walker's like, no, you're just eating right.
Yeah.
But the workouts, once you go to 1,500 though, I passed out the first one. He's like, you don't have the energy to be doing what you've been doing, so you got to cut it back a little bit.
Yeah.
So
true story.
Yeah. So, but if I don't hit at least 3 personal bests on a workout, I think it's not really a workout. I don't count it.
Sometimes I have to also tell him to dial it down because then he's gonna hurt himself. So.
Yeah, this is a guy that I get him in the program and he was like, yeah, I just always keep hurting myself. I'm like, yeah, bro. Probably should be trying to fucking wreck
that was working one body part, working one body part till exhaustion, and then you know I'd hurt that, and then like my shoulders got no cuff muscles, nothing. So you know, doing a back workout, but by the end of it, my shoulder had dislocated or something, and then
I'm just gonna start calling you David Goggins, man. You just like fucking fuck my body. I'm just gonna keep going.
Right.
What's the alternative?
Yeah. No, you good, man.
Matt, you want me to stop recording?
Yeah, you can stop recording it.
Cool.